Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to navigate a challenging but important topic, understanding the subtle shifts that can occur in relationships when a partner might be starting to emotionally distance themselves. It's a quiet fear many of us hold in our deepest relationships, the unsettling feeling that the person we love, the person we've built a connection with, might be drifting away. It's rarely a sudden, dramatic event. More often, it begins like a slow, almost imperceptible tide, pulling them further from the shore of your shared emotional space. We tend to think of relationships ending with big arguments, infidelity, or clear declarations of unhappiness. But the truth is, the process of someone falling out of love, or simply becoming less emotionally invested, usually starts much earlier and shows up in much quieter ways. It's in the nuances of daily interaction, the subtle changes in behavior that are easy to dismiss or overlook in the rush of life. Understanding these early signs isn't about becoming paranoid or looking for problems where they don't exist. It's about gaining awareness, recognizing patterns that could indicate a significant shift in the relationship dynamic. Think of it as noticing the early warning lights on a dashboard. They don't necessarily mean the engine is dead, but they signal that something needs attention. In this video, we're going to explore 5 of the earliest, most common signs that someone might be emotionally pulling away. These are behaviors that suggest a decrease in emotional investment, a shift in priority, or a growing internal distance that precedes any verbal acknowledgement. By learning to recognize these subtle cues, you'll be better equipped to understand what might be happening in your relationship. This understanding can empower you to initiate necessary conversations, seek clarity, and make informed decisions about the future of the relationship and your own well-being. It's about moving from uneasy confusion to grounded awareness. These insights are based on common relationship patterns observed in psychology and shared experiences of couples navigating disconnection. Stay with me through all 5 signs, because recognizing them early can provide a crucial opportunity to address the situation, whatever the outcome may be. Ready to look honestly at these subtle shifts? Let's begin with how the very fabric of your connection might start to change. In the way you communicate. Sign number 1. The silence grows louder. Changes in communication. Communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. It's how you share your day, your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, and your fears. One of the earliest and most telling signs that someone is emotionally pulling away is a noticeable shift in your communication patterns. This isn't necessarily about arguing more. Often, it's about arguing less, or rather, engaging less deeply. The communication becomes more superficial. Conversations might stick to practicalities, logistics about the household, schedules, or mundane events, but lack emotional depth. They might stop sharing details about their day, their feelings about work, or their worries. When you try to share yours, they might seem distracted, give short, dismissive answers, or quickly change the subject. They might stop initiating conversations just to chat or connect emotionally. Text messages become brief and functional. Phone calls become shorter, and the easy, comfortable flow of talking just for the sake of being together feels absent. Why is this a sign of pulling away? When someone is emotionally invested, they generally want to share their inner world with you and hear about yours. Communication is how intimacy is built and maintained. When that desire diminishes, the communication changes. They might be sharing more with friends, family, or colleagues instead, indicating a shift in where they seek emotional connection. Or they might simply be keeping their thoughts and feelings to themselves, creating an emotional wall. Imagine, for years, you'd end your day sharing the highs and lows, feeling heard and understood. Now, your partner is physically present, but seems miles away when you talk, offering only a hum or "that's nice," before returning to their phone or the TV. It's not a fight, but the lack of engagement feels heavy and lonely. It's like the volume of conversation is the same, but the emotional signal is fading. The implication is that reduced or superficial communication isn't just a bad habit. It can be a symptom of reduced emotional investment and a preference for less vulnerability within the relationship. This sign suggests there might be a growing emotional distance or a reluctance to engage deeply. It doesn't automatically mean they don't love you, but it means the way they are connecting or not connecting has changed. If you observe this, observe objectively. Is this a consistent pattern or just a temporary phase due to stress? Initiate gently. Try opening a conversation about the communication itself. I've noticed we don't seem to talk about our days as much lately, and I miss that. Is everything okay? Express your needs. Calmly share how you feel when communication is limited. When we don't talk deeply, I feel a bit disconnected. Listen. Be prepared to listen to their response. There could be other reasons: stress, not knowing how to talk deeply, etc. Their willingness to discuss the communication itself is telling. Suggest solutions. Propose dedicated time for talking or explore why communication has changed. Recognizing this sign is important because communication is the tool you need to address any underlying issues. Its decline is a red flag that requires attention and an attempt to reconnect through conversation. Sign number 2. Your time together shrinks and shifts, prioritizing elsewhere. Another early sign is a noticeable change in how time together is spent and prioritized. In a healthy, connected relationship, partners typically prioritize spending quality time with each other. This doesn't mean every waking moment, but there's a clear value placed on shared experiences, intimacy, and simply being in each other's presence. When someone starts emotionally pulling away, this prioritization can shift. They might start spending significantly more time on individual hobbies, with friends or family alone, without you, or on new interests, often to the exclusion of shared time. They might start making plans without checking with you first, or simply inform you of their plans after they've been made. When you suggest spending time together, they might be busy, tired, or make excuses more often than they used to. The time you do spend together might feel less engaged, perhaps sitting in the same room but both focused on separate screens, or going through the motions without genuine connection. It's not just about being busy. It's about a palpable shift in the desire to spend time with you. Why is this a sign of pulling away? How someone chooses to spend their limited free time is a strong indicator of their priorities and where they feel most comfortable or fulfilled emotionally. If they are consistently seeking connection, excitement, or comfort outside the relationship instead of within it, it suggests they are finding something elsewhere that they are no longer finding or seeking with you. This isn't about needing individual space. It's about a pattern of actively choosing external engagement over or instead of shared couple time without a clear, communicated reason. Imagine you used to have a standing Friday date night, or you'd always spend Sunday mornings together. Now, Fridays are always guys'/girls' night, and Sundays are spent pursuing separate hobbies from the moment they wake up, with no effort to connect in between. It feels like you're becoming roommates sharing a space, rather than partners sharing a life. The calendar becomes a map of their individual life, with your intersection points becoming fewer and less significant. The implication is that reduced quality time isn't just scheduling difficulty. It can reflect a change in where a person feels most energized, engaged, and connected, indicating they might be emotionally disconnecting from the relationship as their primary source of fulfillment. This sign suggests your relationship might be slipping down their list of priorities, or they are actively building a life that is more separate from yours. If you observe this, identify the pattern. Is this a temporary phase or a consistent trend over weeks/months? Express your desire for connection. Clearly state that you miss spending quality time together and value shared experiences. Suggest specific activities. Ask about their needs. Try to understand why they are seeking more time elsewhere. Are their needs not being met in the relationship? Are they going through something personally? Observe their response. Are they open to discussing this and making an effort to create more shared time? Or do they become defensive or dismissive? Their reaction is key information. Evaluate compatibility. If individual priorities have diverged significantly and there's no willingness to find common ground or balance, it may indicate a fundamental incompatibility or loss of shared vision. Recognizing this sign is important because shared quality time is essential for maintaining intimacy and connection. Its decline signals a potential disconnect that needs to be addressed to understand if the relationship still holds a central place in their life. Has your shared time together changed noticeably? It's a tough one to face. If this point hit home, type time in the comments. Sign number 3. They stop asking. Loss of curiosity about your inner world. In a healthy, loving relationship, there is an inherent curiosity about your partner's inner world. You want to know how they feel, what they're thinking, what impacts them, what their day was like, what excites or worries them. You ask questions, and you listen with genuine interest. One of the earliest signs of emotional pulling away is when this curiosity wanes, and they stop asking about the deeper aspects of your life. This goes beyond superficial questions about whether you ate lunch. It's the absence of questions about your feelings, your challenges, your thoughts on things, your reactions to events, or your dreams and goals. When you share something important, they might not ask follow-up questions or seem genuinely interested in hearing more. Conversations become very one-sided, with you initiating attempts to connect and them offering minimal reciprocal engagement. It feels like they are no longer investing in understanding your emotional landscape or your experiences beyond the most surface level. Why is this a sign of pulling away? When someone is emotionally connected and invested, your well-being and your inner life matter to them. They care about what shapes you and how you experience the world. The act of asking questions and listening is an investment of energy and attention into the bond. When they stop asking, it suggests that their emotional investment in your inner world is decreasing. They may have disengaged their empathy or simply no longer feel a strong need to connect with you on that deeper level. Imagine sharing something significant that happened in your day, something that stirred strong emotions in you, and your partner just nods and changes the subject without a single question about how it felt or what it meant to you. It's not active cruelty, but a passive indifference that screams a lack of emotional engagement. It feels like you're presenting parts of yourself, and they're simply not interested in receiving them. The implication is that a consistent lack of curiosity isn't just absent-mindedness. It can be a sign of emotional disengagement and a reduced desire to maintain intimacy by understanding your perspective and feelings. This sign strongly indicates a lack of emotional investment in your personal experience and inner life. It suggests a significant emotional distance is forming. If you observe this, notice the pattern. Distinguish between a bad day and a consistent lack of interest over time. Express your observation. Gently point out what you've noticed. I feel like we don't talk much about our feelings lately. Or, when I shared about X, I felt like you weren't very interested. Ask directly, carefully. Consider asking, is there a reason you don't seem to ask much about how I'm feeling or what's going on with me? Be prepared for potentially difficult answers or defensiveness. Evaluate reciprocity. Healthy relationships have mutual curiosity. If it's consistently one-sided, it indicates an imbalance. Decide your needs. Recognize that feeling seen and understood is fundamental. If this is consistently missing, consider if your emotional needs can be met in this relationship. Recognizing this sign is important because it reveals a potential disengagement from the core of who you are as a person within the relationship, signaling a serious emotional disconnect that needs to be acknowledged and addressed. Sign number 4. The physical connection cools. Changes in affection and intimacy. Physical intimacy and affection. Holding hands, cuddling, kissing, sex are powerful ways to express love, build connection, and feel close to a partner. While the form and frequency of physical intimacy can change naturally over the course of a long relationship due to age, health, or life circumstances, a noticeable decrease or a change in the quality of physical connection can be an early sign of emotional pulling away. This isn't just about less sex. It's about a decline in non-sexual touch and affection as well. They might stop reaching for your hand, pull away when you try to cuddle, offer brief or perfunctory kisses instead of lingering ones, or seem physically uncomfortable with closeness. When physical intimacy does occur, it might feel routine, distant, or lacking in emotional warmth and connection. Excuses for avoiding physical intimacy become more frequent. Why is this a sign of pulling away? For many people, physical touch is deeply intertwined with emotional connection. A decrease in physical intimacy can mirror a decrease in emotional intimacy. When someone is emotionally disconnecting, physical touch that once felt natural and comforting can start to feel uncomfortable or even undesirable. It can feel disingenuous to be physically close when they are feeling emotionally distant. The body's desire for physical connection with that specific person can wane as the emotional bond weakens. Imagine you used to naturally hold hands while walking or cuddle on the couch in the evenings. Now, there's a physical space that seems to grow between you. When you reach out, the response is hesitant or the touch feels cold and disconnected. Sex might still happen, but it feels routine, lacking the emotional intimacy or shared pleasure it once had. It feels like your bodies are going through motions that your hearts are no longer in sync with. The implication is that while physical intimacy fluctuates, a consistent and unaddressed cooling of the physical connection can be a strong indicator of underlying emotional distance and a weakening of the bond. This sign suggests a potential disconnect in the emotional and physical bond. It could indicate reduced attraction, underlying emotional issues, or a loss of desire for intimacy with you specifically. If you observe this, notice the change. Is the change consistent, or is it linked to temporary factors like stress or health? Initiate gently, non-pressuring. Try initiating non-sexual touch, holding hands, a hug, and observe the response. Suggest spending time focusing on physical connection without pressure for sex. Communicate your feelings/needs. Express that you've noticed a change in physical affection and that you miss the connection. Share what kind of physical intimacy is important to you. Avoid accusatory language. Explore potential causes. Is it health-related? Stress-related? Are there underlying emotional issues impacting intimacy? Try to have an open, vulnerable conversation about both emotional and physical intimacy. Consider professional help. Intimacy issues are complex and often benefit greatly from couples counseling. Recognizing this sign is important because physical intimacy is a vital component of many romantic relationships, and its decline can signal a significant emotional withdrawal that needs sensitive and direct conversation to understand its root cause and impact on the relationship. Changes in physical intimacy can be painful to navigate. If you've experienced this, remember you're not alone. Feel free to share gently in the comments, or just acknowledge with a heart emoji. Sign number 5. Small things become big deals. Increased irritability and impatience. In healthy relationships, partners generally extend grace and patience to each other, especially regarding minor flaws or everyday mistakes. We understand that nobody is perfect, and we overlook small annoyances out of love and respect. However, when someone is emotionally pulling away, their tolerance often decreases, and they might become increasingly irritable or impatient with you, often over trivial matters. Things that never used to bother them suddenly become sources of disproportionate frustration or criticism. Your habits, your way of doing things, even your mere presence might seem to annoy them. Their reactions to minor issues might be overly sharp, critical, or dismissive. You might feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, unsure what small thing will set them off. This isn't necessarily constant fighting, but a pervasive undercurrent of negativity, tension, and lack of patience directed towards you. Why is this a sign of pulling away? Increased irritability towards a partner can be a sign of underlying unhappiness, frustration, or resentment that isn't being addressed directly. When someone is emotionally checked out, they may lose the willingness to extend empathy or patience. Everything you do is viewed through a negative lens because the overall feeling towards the relationship or you has shifted. It can be a way of creating emotional distance through constant low-level conflict or by making themselves seem unapproachable. Sometimes it's a subconscious way to justify their desire to pull away, finding fault in you to make the separation easier on themselves. Imagine accidentally leaving your shoes in the hallway, something that might have warranted a gentle nudge or no comment before. Now, it triggers a sharp, disproportionate lecture or an eye roll that speaks volumes. It feels like their default setting towards you has changed from affection or neutrality to irritation. It's not just a bad mood. It's a consistent pattern of directed negativity. The implication is that persistent, increased irritability over minor issues isn't just a personality quirk. It can be a reflection of deeper dissatisfaction, unaddressed resentment perhaps from our previous script topic, or a lack of emotional investment that makes them less willing to tolerate your imperfections or simply interact with you peacefully. This sign suggests there is significant underlying dissatisfaction or frustration, which they may be directing towards you instead of addressing the root cause. If you observe this, identify the shift. Compare their current reactions to minor things with how they used to respond. Is there a clear pattern of increased negativity directed at you? Avoid retaliation. Try not to mirror their irritation or become defensive, as this escalates conflict. Choose a calm moment to talk. When things are calm, express your observation and how it makes you feel. I've noticed you seem more easily frustrated with me lately, and it makes me feel anxious/sad. Is something bothering you? Set boundaries. While seeking understanding, it's also okay to set boundaries if their behavior is hurtful. I understand you're frustrated, but I need us to speak respectfully to each other. Assess the root cause. Is the irritability truly about the small things, or is it a symptom of larger, unaddressed issues or their own unhappiness? Recognizing this sign is important because persistent irritability erodes the emotional safety of the relationship. It signals that there are significant underlying negative feelings that need to be brought into the open, whether they stem from lost love or other issues impacting the relationship. So, we've explored 5 of the earliest and often quietest signs that someone might be emotionally pulling away. The silence growing louder in communication, their time shifting to prioritize elsewhere, the loss of curiosity about your inner world, the cooling of physical connection, and increased irritability over small things. The core message is this: emotional distance doesn't appear overnight, and it doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. It often begins with subtle changes in behavior and interaction patterns. Recognizing these signs isn't about definitively saying, "They no longer love me." It's about acknowledging that a shift is happening, that the emotional connection might be weakening, and that this requires attention. Understanding these signs gives you clarity. It moves you out of a state of confusion and denial and into a place where you can choose how to respond. It's an opportunity to open the door to honest conversation, to seek to understand what is truly happening, and to make decisions that honor both the relationship and your own need for connection and well-being. It is never easy to face the possibility that a relationship is changing in this fundamental way, but awareness is always the first step towards finding a path forward, whatever that path may be. I encourage you to reflect honestly. Do you recognize any of these signs in your relationship? And if so, which one step, even a small one, are you willing to take this week to seek clarity or initiate a gentle conversation? Thank you for joining me for this sensitive but important discussion. Navigating these emotional landscapes is challenging, and I hope these insights provide some guidance. If this video resonated with you or offered some clarity, please give it a thumbs up. Sharing this helps others who might be feeling confused or alone. I welcome your thoughts and experiences in the comments below, shared with kindness and respect. And if you'd like more insights into relationships, personal growth, and navigating life's complexities, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Your support means a lot. Until next time, approach yourself and your relationships with courage and compassion.